And, well, we need to go straight to the papers to see what they have on their front page. And for review today, we have 5 papers. We have The Punch, The Guardian, The Vanguard, Daily Sun, and The Nation is making it up. And definitely you do know, he's always here to help us review the papers together. And we're talking of no other than with our very own Comrade FM&TV. Good morning to you, and it's another brand new week.
Yeah, good morning and welcome to a very brand new week. A week created by God that we have never seen before. This is the first time we are seeing this week now.
Well, I always like your emphasis, especially on parables and deep thoughts.
Oh, yes.
All the same. Let's see how whether we'll have more of such thoughts, especially on the front pages of the dailies. Okay, well, I'll lead to really start with the Daily Sun. Let's see how sunny it is. And, well, not a very sunny and pleasant one on the front page, though. Well, the leading story reads, gunmen attack ex-Imo governor Okorocha, kill police officer. Convoy attacked in Imo. It's a sad story on page 4 of the Daily Sun. And, well, you just need to read more of that and go grab a copy of the Daily Sun. And honestly, page 4 will give you more concerning that very unfortunate story. IPOB Masob, Kano's family slam Aseri Dokubo, accuse him of being government informant. It's a major one on page 27. Nigerian takes over ILO leadership, receives global accolades. It's a major one on page 25. Southeast bids for Senate's majority leader post. Why APC cannot ignore the region again. And again, or more of that you can get on page 10. But a very trending and disturbing one, how I survived poisoning at a party's campaign in 2018. And Wike seems to be screaming out that loud. And NDLEA nabs 2 Qatar-based drug lords with meant consignment at Murtala Mohammed International Airport. It's another one on page 4. Begin to meet Nigerian leaders and businessmen others. It's a major one on page 27. We haven't had that meeting ought to be today, but we don't know how that will be. And Bishop urged fathers to stand firm as pillars of families. As Edo Deputy Governor Shaibu applauds roles that father has been playing. Well, I'll tell you, Comrade FM&TV, happy Father's Day to him. Well, anyway, that was yesterday.
Yes, you didn't do that yesterday.
Well, anyway. Controversy rages over police pension bill. It's another major one on page 29. Operators ask Tinubu to reject bill. And why that is so, well, like I said, go grab a copy of it and you get more juicy story on page 25, rather. Imo PDP crisis deepening as SWC members resign. And you can know that the state working committee members, all of that, you can get on page 27. But the picture of the day is that of Father's Day. And you can see the Deputy Governor of Edo State right there as they celebrate that at St. Paul's Catholic Church at Airport Road in Benin City yesterday. Well, that's what you can take from the Daily Sun. Let's quickly go to the Punch, which will be the next paper for us to quickly look at. And on the Punch this morning, subsidy. Labour threatens strike, resume talks with federal government. As pain become unbearable, strike suspended, not call off, says NLC and TUC. And I feel Nigerians may not really be looking or pay more interest about that rather than when it was there initially. But anyway, I'll get the thoughts of Comrade FM&TV on that, but I'll tell you to go continue that story on page 2. But let me continue with another major story on page 2. NUT lambast governors as teacher shortage rises. And, well, that's a very strong one right there on page 2. Power project, federal government secures $750 million World Bank loan. It's another major screamer on page 34. CBN moves, or rather, CBN removes saving withdrawal limit on domiciliary accounts. It's another major one on page 35. But let's quickly go to other stories beneath the picture of the day and on page 34. Ship owners reject proposed Nimasa custom merger. And the reason they are giving for that, well, like I said, go grab a copy of the Punch. And page 34 has that story. 8 feared killed as flood submerged Lagos community. It's a major one on page 4 and 5. An operator overloaded ill-fated boat with 250 passengers. And this is according to NIWA as regards that boat that capsized in Kwara State and the loss of many Nigerian lives. A sad one, you say. Yeah, well, that's our prayer for them. But on page 16, which is also making the picture of the day, NDLEA nabs Qatar-based drug barons, seizes cannibals. And you can understand all of that, and you can see the faces of those that were held or were caught yesterday on account of drug smuggling. But anyway, that's the much you can take from the Punch. Let's quickly go to The Guardian. And on The Guardian this morning, the leading story says, households under pressure as new electricity tariff due July 1st. It's a screamer right there. Amid subsidy removal pains, experts advocate long-term benefits. And you can benefit more on that gist on page 3. Professionals deplore high cost of treatment as World Sickle Day holds. And you can get that story also on page 3. But do allow me to continue with the story on page 4. Fuse over bill to regulate Christian preaching is another major one there. And 10th National Assembly disclose a pension paid to you as ex-governor. Serap tells Akpabio and others on page 5. Petrol subsidy, government labor resume negotiation on implementation framework is a major one on page 8. And I was poisoned at PDP office, suffered liver and kidney failure, says Wike. And many will attribute his emaciating to that he said happened in 2018. But anyway, you can just read up that story and get more of it. But the picture of the day is that really depletes that full explanation as the headline on the front page of The Guardian. Household under pressure as new electricity tariff due July 1st. And you do know the Nigeria Regulatory Commission said they will go ahead with such increase. But let's quickly leave that and go to The Nation, which will be the next paper for us to look at. And on The Nation this morning, the leading story reads, Akpabio Abbas, lawmakers will back Tinubu to deliver. And we are here to work, says First Lady. Odili rates Tinubu's or President performance high. And you can understand why that is so. But just go grab a copy of The Nation and continue that story on page 4. I'll continue with other stories though, and which is also a major screamer. Investors gain 3.28 trillion in 3 weeks. And you can understand that the market is really bubbling. And more of that take right there on page 5. Federal government labor palliative talks resume. As I was poisoned in 2018, says Wiki. Both of those stories you can get on page 5. The overloading, windy rain cost of Kwara boat mishap. And you can get that story on page 27. Bags tighten forex process to block racketeering. It's another major story on the front page of The Nation. So South African displaces Dangote as African richest. It's another major one there on page 5. And Super Eagles qualify for AFCON 2024. And that story you can get on page 20. But let's see if we get other stories. Central Bank leaves restriction on the domiciliary accounts. It's another major one on page 4. As bulldozers roar in Alaba rather, as Ohane's conscience against fake news. It's another major one on page 28. I'll be really getting more information on that as we understand what seems to be playing out there. But the picture of the day is that of Mr. President as he received 2 obas, the one from Ikele in Lagos and another also from Lagos yesterday in the presidential villa in Abuja. Well, that's the much you can take from The Nation. Let's quickly go to the last paper for review, which is the Vanguard this morning. And on the Vanguard, the leading story reads, Cabinet infighting as APC camps pitch for ministerial jobs. It's a screamer right there. Lobbyists besiege Asu Rock. President may send list to Senate July 4th. And special advisors may supervise ministries for the now. And you can understand more of that story on page 5. Islamization comments. El-Rufai should be invited by DSS. And this is coming from the Middle Belt Forum. And electricity, 38% of consumers without meters, says NARC, which is quite true, if not even more. 24 hours curfew declared in Plateau local government is a sad one on page 11, or 13 rather. And NGE President Atiku Saraki Oyebanji Shawalo congratulates Eze Anabeba on page 10. And let's quickly take some others and see if we have more right there. Kwara boat mishap, NIWA blames windy, rainy, overloading, lack of navigational aid as a result of that very disturbing boat mishap. And you can continue that story on page 41. 10th Senate disclosed pension paid to you as ex-governor Serap tells Akpabio and others is a major one on page 10. Subsidy removal, stabilize economy before new minimum wage. NACA tells our federal government on page 9. And Forex, allow customers free access to domiciliary accounts, funds, CBN orders bank. It's a major screamer on page 8. And economy, Nigerian power generators with cooking gas. And that innovation or innovative thinking I saw during the weekend, and I was highly amazed. But you can get that story on page 7. Bandits kill local chief, his 4 children in Kaduna. Is a rage and continuance of violence, which is not abating and which is quite sad. But let's leave that sadness. Villarreal demand 13 billion for Chukwueze. It's on the sporting part of the Vanguard on page 47. But let's see if we leave some seriousness and go to some humorous parts of the Vanguard and the paper review. And let's take that of Mr. and Mrs. Well, Mr., yesterday was Father's Day. Not even a word of greeting from you, Mrs. Why? Well, she replied, you are not my father. Maybe she called her dad and not the husband. Well, anyway, I don't know. But what I do know is we need to open up the lines now and get your reactions, comments, and views as we look at the front pages of the dailies together. But still also remember, you have no other person but Comrade FM&TV, who will also be having his thoughts, especially as it concerns some major stories on the front page. And well, let's see if we have those calling in and being a part of it. Hello, good morning to you. Okay, well, before we do that, I'll quickly want to say the numbers to reach us will be on your screen shortly, or you can reach us on 08022931931, and or you can reach us on 08022931931 or 08188888931. With those two numbers, is the paper review right here on Quest, and we'll be taking a look at some of the major ones, especially as we also have the thoughts of Comrade FM&TV. Well, it looks as if before we get the calls coming in, let's quickly go to that seems to be on the front page of the Punch. Labour Trinity strike resume talks with federal government. We knew it will always get to, they made promise of resuming the talks today, which is June the 19th. But with those threats and other calling that it should not only be Labour that should be reasoned out, especially when it concerns palliative or dealing with the subsidy. Do you feel that's talk again about a renewed strike is just a talk to put government in line, or do you foresee them even taking the leap in doing that?
Yeah, thank you very much and welcome to the new week, Mike. This is a strike of a thing by the Labour Congress. Have they actually achieved anything reasonable in the past? What is the essence of devil seeds growing every day in the forest when nobody harvests them for anything and because they are not useful? Most of the strikes we've had in Nigeria have not given us the desired expectation of the masses. And again, when you talk of the palliatives cannot be meant for the civil servants alone. Yeah. They are not up to 20% of the total population of the country. What happens to the rest? What happens to the market women, the self-employed, and the other artisan people? They should come out with a program that will benefit the whole nation, either by applying that money they are talking about from the removal of subsidy into the improvement of our social amenities and let everybody benefit from it. And resuming the talks with the federal government, I don't think it can yield any result. Because that moment they paused, that they should go back and regroup again.
The momentum
has gone down. So I think they should what they should do now is what does the masses benefit, not what the Labour will benefit. The Labour is a minute percentage compared to what we have in the country.
Okay, let's quickly go to another. Cabinet infighting as APC can pitch for ministerial job. Well, with all indication, it looks as if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be sending that list on July the 4th, which is just 2 weeks from now. And well, we're already having politicians jostle for those positions. A question I want to ask, should we really be, should those lists be made up more of politicians, or do you feel is the turn of technocrats really in helping to shape the policy of this very administration? You know,
in Africa, and zero down to Nigeria where we all belong, we believe in fighting for positions. This situation Nigeria finds herself now is not a situation where you start appointing politicians because they help you in winning elections. They supplied you funds during the campaign. We have gone past that. You can give them contracts and other things to compensate them. But let this government be run by technocrats. Because Nigeria is deep down the drain. We need somebody that can pull them out, not somebody that helped me in achieving an issue. You may help the president in becoming a president or the governors in becoming governors. It does not give you that weighted tool to run the departmental administration. Let the round pegs be put in a round hole and the square pegs in a square hole. When LBJ came into power in his first regime, All those, most of them that he appointed were not part of the people that helped him win the election. People like Okonjo Iweala and co. So let Bola Tinubu come up with real technocrats that knows the in-depth of this country, that knows where this problem is, that knows where this shoe pinches, and let them put things in order for us, irrespective of their party affiliations. We should go beyond that now. When you are contesting for primaries, you are an aspirant. When you become when you win the primaries to represent your party, you become a candidate. And when you win the general elections, either through the presidency or the governorship or anywhere, you become the leader of the masses, or everybody in the country, irrespective of your party. Like Bola Ahmed Tinubu is there, he's not the president of APC. He's the president of all the political parties, and those who are not even politicians. So include everybody in this government, those who know that can steer this ship out of the muddy waters we are. That's what the president should be looking at now. And I know that he will do something like that because he's the manager of human resources.
Okay, now let's quickly go to this that seems to be making the round on all of the dailies today. CBN removes saving withdrawal limit on the miscellaneous account. Another policy. Okay, we have a caller. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello?
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, paper review it is, our quest. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Chief Duku.
Oh, Chief Duku, nice having you on the show. Please go ahead.
Okay. Am I with Quest FM?
Yes, you are. You're on this TV arm.
Okay.
Yes, it's
because
true.
I'm not hearing myself on the radio.
Yes, we have that of the radio and also that of the TV. So go ahead. You're on the TV arm.
Okay. I want to talk about the Aerofy, that DSS should go and arrest him because of his comment about Islamization of Nigeria.
Yes.
These are the things we are talking about. If that statement were to be made by somebody else, the whole armed forces of Nigeria would have raided his house and his businesses. Yeah. So why is it difficult? Why is the president looking as if he doesn't hear that comment? Somebody came out openly, and the president were there talking about Islam, how they plan to Islamize Nigeria and that they are already succeeding. And up till now, the president is silent about it. And will be preaching peace, peace, peace in this country. So I don't know why the government is afraid about him. He's no longer a governor that will say that I have immunity. No, yeah. He should be looked into. Then the second one is Asare Tokubo and Unadi Kanu.
Yes.
No, it's a pity that this government, the first statement they made, Tinubu made, was that he's going to obey the rule of law. He's going to rule this country according to the rule of law. What is the crime of Unadi Kanu now? According to the court, he's a free man. He does not commit any crime. He should be released. That was the statement the court made, the last statement. So why are they still holding him? So it is very, very unfortunate. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Chief Duku, for calling and also adding your voice to it. And I doubt if we can take any more call. But a quick one, just a question I ask. Well, is CBN redressing, or rather taking a reverse step from what it did initially, and making persons also make withdrawal on those very accounts that were held before? So do you feel it's the right move and a policy that would definitely increase the rate of banking and forex?
Yes, I think so. You know, government is about correction and new actions. Once they have a policy and they say that the policy is not going that way with the masses, they have every right to reverse it as far as it's in the interest of the nation. It is going to increase the banking system and give it a more solid base, because now almost everybody is thinking of not even taking their money to the bank over what happened last time. Yeah. And this is a thing that is going to ameliorate the confidence of the people to have more interest in the banking sector. I think it's a right move in the right direction.
Well, anyway, I feel the right thing for us to do is to go, but we'll say thank you so much for always staying put with us, especially as we review the papers together. Thank you so much.
Oh yes, you know, the mouth and the teeth and the tongue cannot quarrel for a long time because they live in the same house.
Well, definitely they do, especially in the mouth.